to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You bow your heads. For Almighty Father in heaven, we're so grateful that we're able to gather here this evening to do work of the Wells County people that we represent as taxpayers. We ask you to continue to watch over all those that work hard every day to protect us from sheriff, firefighter, police, first responders, military, so we're able to have the ability to act in the capacity that we're able to this evening. We say these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
So the first thing to start off with is that we're supposed to have a public hearing for the proposed local income tax ordinance. That is being canceled due to a clerical error. We're going to repost, and then we'll vote. We'll have that public hearing on October 7th at our next meeting. So any questions there? Okay. Next, I will open up for a public hearing on the 2026 budgets for the Wells County Solid Waste Management District, Rock Creek Conservancy, and for Wells County. Does anybody from the public have any comments? Okay, that's the shortest public hearing. So I'll go ahead and close the public hearing for the 2026 budgets. Okay, we'll go ahead and start with our regular session. Lisa sent out the minutes from our previous meeting for the August 5th regular session and August 25th executive session. Does anybody have any questions regarding those minutes? If not, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Brian. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Lisa. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Stephen, if you want to come up first for the supplemental adult probation services and juvenile probation services for the additionals.
Yes. I can go through this if you like, fairly simple. A couple of grants from CADA, one for our MRT program, and the other for our general drug testing program. So money in, I know that doesn't have very many questions typically, a good thing. And then the other is for another grant award for a court interpreter, which would just be into the existing interpretation budget.
Any questions for Mr. Pasquale?
So the interpreter, that's a grant, right?
Yes, that is, yeah.
So we can do those three, and we'll come back to local assistance and tribal in a minute. So do I have a motion to approve the supplemental adult probation services drug testing for $1,590? Approval for the supplemental juvenile probation services probation incentives for $1,320.87. And lastly, a motion to approve the 2019 court interpreter grant for translation services for $1,500.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Steve. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, the next one is the local assistance and tribal for professional services. Councilman Harnish, do you want to walk us through that? I know the commissioners just...
Yeah, so what we're doing with that revenue, that money, and of course Lisa can speak specifically. This is federal, I don't know, was it a grant exactly, but it was allocated.
Came in with COVID money.
Came in with COVID money, okay. To pay associated fees with this downtown revitalization project. It's $90,000, $100,000 in the fund. That would take us through September of next year, to September of next year. And in that way, you know, we're not using general fund money, we're not using local taxpayer money. It's some federal COVID money that found its way down to our humble neck of the woods. And I think this is a good way to take that money from some really troubled times and put it towards something, a very positive project. So that's the ask here. I don't have any better use of that money. But the commissioners tonight decided to approve the request, so that's why it's on the agenda here.
Are there any questions for Councilman Harnish regarding the tribal?
Yeah, he mentioned it's good through September of next year. What happens then?
So at that point, you know, the commissioners and the council would have a decision to make, and it's certainly possible that the foundation doesn't come back to us because the assets they've acquired, they've got. There's a project underway. They don't need another round of development. I don't know what is going to happen. But if the foundation were to come back, there is lit economic development as an option, as a possibility. If, you know, at that point, if the project is, you know, cooking with gas and there's a lot of enthusiasm around it, there may be an appetite for an additional allocation, or the county can say, you know, we got it started. At this point, it's in the city's hands. That would be a valid opinion too. I can't predict the future, but I'm just speculating on some possibilities.
So this could be a continuation then, right? Yearly, annually?
Yeah, it depends on to what extent the foundation wants to sort of follow through with the project. I know the benchmark is 12 parcels. I know the city has a big vision for what they want to do with the downtown and development. To what extent the foundation's involved in that? Certainly, to some extent they are, but I don't know to what overarching extent. There's just, it's a fresh project. It hasn't even started at this point. So it's just very difficult for me to give a great, succinct answer to tell you exactly what's going to happen. I wish I could. I wish I had that for you. I just don't. But I've tried to give you the best answer I can.
I would think, Todd, from talking to other communities that are now part of the program, Richmond is one of the newer ones, that within 2 months already, they've contracted 10 buildings under contract, and they've got 2 more that are about to get to their 12. I would like to think in 12 months that we would not be doing this. Like, I would think that this 90,000, 12 months from now, we've done our part in supporting this, and then we can see where it's at and see if there would make sense to do more or not. But I would like to hope by then they would have the buildings purchased and that they're on their own, and we won't need to do this.
We are a small downtown, and 12 buildings that's a big number that can make a huge difference.
Yeah, Richmond is bigger, but yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm open-minded, but I certainly am not making any decisions tonight. I kind of want to see how this flower blooms.
Any other questions for? If not, do I have a motion to approve the $90,000 tribal assistance fund for what we're putting down as professional services?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Brian. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Brian. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
No for Todd. Okay, thank you. All right, next one is we have a request for transfer from highway maintenance and repair. Pretty straightforward. Matt was here for the commissioner meeting. I told him it looked straightforward enough that I told him he didn't need to stick around for a couple hours. But it looks like he's wanting to do a transfer from part-time from 2,100 to CDL training for 2,100. So it's like a pretty easy transfer. So would I have a motion to approve the highway maintenance and repair transfer?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Vicki. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Brandon. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Sarah, if you want to come up for a library update?
So I passed out papers earlier. So just kind of going over some quick stats. Our summer reading program did go well this year. We registered 1,464 kids, 281 teens, and 588 adults. So infants completed 1,512 activities, obviously children can't read books, so we do different activities for them. Kids ages 2 to grade 6 read 489,420 minutes, and then teens read 711,309 pages, while our adults read nearly 1.4 million pages. So, pretty impressive for the adults there. We were able to donate 116 books to Kate's Cart, so you can choose not to take prizes throughout the summer, and you can just donate your book to Kate's Cart. And that seems to kind of be a growing theme, which we really appreciate. So, stats mid-year, this is just January through June. We've already met 52% of last year's numbers for physical item circulation, 56% of last year's numbers for physical and digital circulation combined, and 68% of last year's numbers for meeting room reservations, and 55% of last year's numbers for study room reservations. So our meeting rooms and study rooms still continue to grow in their usage. And kind of along the lines of 2 programs we have coming up, our One Book, One County title this year is True Grit. So the One Book, One County, if you're not familiar with that, it's a program that stretches from September through October. The goal is to have patrons throughout the community all reading the same book at the same time, and then we offer different programs around the theme. All of our programming for One Book, One County is made possible through the generosity of our friends of our library. And programs will include Snakes and Reptiles with Indiana Wild for all ages, so you guys can all come hold snakes and reptiles if you want. Wild West Shooting Range with Nerf guns for our teens, and then Taste of the Old West with Cookcock Taste, and then our children's programming is just kind of Wild West themed throughout those 2 months. So, our biggest program that we have coming up is our biannual Children's Book Festival. It's October 11th, 2025. Our author and illustrator this year is Blythe Russo. Jim Gill, if you're a friend of Jim Gill's Musical Entertainment, will be back on Saturday. And throughout the library on Saturday, we have carnival games, balloon animals, give books and CDs away, meet and greet times with Pigeon from Will Williams Books. And then the author and illustrator can speak to our families on Saturday. And we also have local authors that come and attend, so you can meet kind of our local authors and buy their material as well. And then leading up to the event, we're really blessed to be able to work with our local PTOs and our schools, and we get the author into our elementary schools the Friday before the program, and they do presentations to all of our elementary kids and just kind of get them excited about reading and literature in general. So in the past, we have had usually over 1,500 attendees through our building on the Saturday. So it's just a really great time. We wanted to offer something that was fun for our community, but also free. As you're coming down off a street fair, you still want to do some great things with your kids before the weather gets bad. But you've probably spent all your money on, elephant ears and bracelets. So we offer that as a way to kind of still get our community together, but without a cost to the parents. So. This program is made possible through very generous donations from the Wells County Foundation, through the Virginia Jean Ewan-Schwander Youth Fund, the Wabash Endowment, local PTOs, Gay Saunders, and then, of course, our Friends of the Library as well. Any questions?
Sounds like a great summer at the library.
Oh, it was a busy summer at the library.
Especially along with Kate's Cards.
Yeah, so Kate's Cart is an organization that provides books to children in the ER. And our Kate's Cart, we have a local division of that, and so all the books that we donate are given out to our ER here in Bluffton. So, yeah.
Any other questions for
Any
Sarah?
other questions?
I'm good.
All right, thank you so much, Sarah. Assessor Laura Roberts, if you want to come on up for your budget presentation. Budget review, whatever.
I didn't
plan a presentation, so I hope not.
So are there any highlights from your budget that you would like to review with council? It's just a time for you to kind of explain your budget if anything is.
I really did not ask for any increases other than a couple $100 in training. We're really trying to take advantage of the webinars that are free, that we don't have to leave the office for, but still get credit hours. I did ask for a 3% increase in salaries, but I'm also saving money on salaries because I have 2 new girls who are at the bottom of the line now, where I had one girl who had been there for 9 years and was a level 3, and another one who had been there for 3 years. So even that's not much of an increase. So
Are your new girls going through the level licensing as well right now? or-
they just became level 1s on Friday, both of them.
How long does it take to get to level 3?
A while.
Talking 2
It does, yeah, yeah. They'll do their level 2. They're going to try to do that yet this year, but they're taking online training again instead of going to an actual classroom. They did really well with level 1 and felt like they could have done without the classroom training. But then level 3 is a series of 5 classes, and you need to go to the classes for those. So they take a while. A couple classes a year is about all you can fit in. So it'll take them a little bit to get there.
Does the county cover the cost for that?
Yes,
Okay, good.
yes,
I assume we did, but yeah.
yes, that's in my budget.
So your increase, like for your example, your dues subscription, that's all in the reassessment side of it, right? Not not the general fund side, right?
I think
That's what I'm seeing here. So that wouldn't,
I have a couple different, let me look here.
I mean, it's fine. I was, just to clarify.
I think my subscription, or my, like, the dues and things that we pay, like to belong to the Assessors Association.
I mean, there was no increase.
No, there's no increase.
The only increase was just in the,
Just in the
in this
reassessment.
training seminars.
Yes.
Yeah, for, in the reassessment side.
Yes.
Okay.
So my
So that's-
contracts, everything should be.
That's where all your
okay.
certification comes out of, is reassessment then, right? The monies for their,
Some of it comes out of general also.
I
There's
just
a
see
little
level
bit in
2,
there.
3.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the pay,
Salaries,
you
some
mean
of
the salary?
come out of that. Yeah,
Yes.
they base it out of that.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. I'm sorry. I misunderstood what you were asking.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah. So, trying to be frugal.
We're fortunate that a lot of our courthouse is frugal, which makes it hard when you have to cut a budget of $500,000 and you're figuring out, we're already pretty frugal in this county, how do we make it work?
Yeah, it's going to be rough.
Well, thank you for all that you're doing and appreciate it. Are there any other questions for Laura? All right, thank you so much, Laura, for coming in. Jessica, if you want to come on up.
Great, thanks. Thank you for letting me join you guys tonight. Just wanted to get in front of you guys and give you a brief update and since the last time I was here in April. I wanted to start off by just giving you some numbers of newly committed jobs to Wells County and some capital investment numbers. A couple of these projects have been announced, but a few of them have not. So I won't give names of those projects today, but if you have specific questions, I'm happy to do that. Just some of them are not public yet. But so far to date, committed new jobs, which again, all these new hires may not happen in '25. They'll likely also happen in throughout '26. But thought I would let you know that our local manufacturers and employers have agreed and will be bringing on roughly 350 new employees to Wells County. Just a little over $66 million in capital investment. I don't have the payroll increase for that because it's pretty all over the board, but it's pretty impressive with 350 new jobs. These are not low-income jobs. These are high-wage, high-demand jobs for the most part, so it's very good. And then Palmer Donovan has agreed to be one of our Wells County's newest employers, and they'll be in the Adams Street Spec Building. You may have seen some work going on out there. That is public. They'll be bringing roughly $17 million, and just in the initial investment, and that's 49 new jobs. It's a distribution center. We're excited to have them. They've been great to work with, and kind of soon we'll be working with our partners to sort of coordinate a hiring day with Palmer Donovan. So you'll more to come on that, but we're happy to have them. Yep.
Are they included in that 350, I assume? Okay.
Yes, they are. And that number of 66 million too. Yeah. That one's one of the public ones. I just wanted to make sure I threw that out there because very happy to have them here. Just some things that are kind of top of mind for me and really have already been established and some of the goals that have been set for me. Working with our Area 18 director, he's new, Eric Muncie is his name, and just kind of getting in front of our students. I think that working that pipeline for our future workforce pipeline is just critical. And I think that we all sit around and talk a little bit about how do we grow our population and how do we keep our students here and all that. And I think all of those are really worthy conversations, and they have to be had so that we don't find ourselves in a decade from now going, where'd everyone go? And so one of the things that is sort of top of mind in my priority, I spend a lot of time in our schools working with Adams Wells Manufacturing Alliance. That's with our 8th grade students. Also just in our high school, working with our juniors and our seniors on what careers are currently available now. And just kind of give you a little bit of a play on the tactic that we use is I'll bring a mock pay stub and a mock, not really, an actual job description from one of our manufacturers. And it's very standard qualifications. All the things that you have just to stand up and do the job. And then the pay that goes with that, okay? And then I say, and look, you're in a CTE course, you're obtaining a welding certificate or pipe fitters, electrical work, just various different technical trades that they're already pursuing in high school. And I say, and now you have more qualifications than this job description requires of you. And this would be a potential pay for you starting out. And usually it's $4 to $6 more. So that's pretty impressive for them. They like to see that pay stub, obviously. I think that's important too, to sort of speak their lingo. What will they be earning? What kind of hours would they be looking at? What type of qualifications could they then again pursue post-secondary? And so that kind of brings me to my next mission is there is a post-secondary learning or training center exploratory group that's already been established. We've had a couple of meetings. We've met with Don Wood, Adams Wells Manufacturing. Joe Elkins is a big part of that group, and we're sort of feeling out can Wells County feasibly utilize a post-secondary training facility. That would not take the place of CTE courses within our schools because they're doing great work within our schools with our students. This would be for post-secondary after high school. Could be upskilling our current workforce with robotics, fine machining, you name it. Any of the data or programs that they're utilizing within those facilities that it's really hard to pull somebody off a line to teach that. This could potentially be something in that post-secondary training facility where we're teaching them what our current workforce is already in need of. Does that make sense? So we're working towards just figuring out if that makes sense for Wells County. We'll be touring throughout this month of September. We'll be touring in Jay County. Is it John Jay? I can't think of the name of it. Learning Center, the Impact Institute, just various different places. So more to come on that, but I did want to bring it to your attention just so you know the good work that's going on. And again, how do we keep our students here post-high school? I think one of the most important aspects, a solution is show them what they can do when they graduate high school. Show them what they can actually achieve and earn staying here in Wells County. So that's just one of our missions, and I think that you guys should know about that. Lots of good things already. The work is already being done here in the county. So I thought you guys might be interested in hearing that. Gonna host later in October, I'm gonna host a bit of a round table. I'm really a fan of more of like a kind of an informal round table where we get some of our manufacturers together and we really just kind of I have a presentation for them, but I really just kind of want to know what's best practices for them. I already sort of hear from them what, positions are unfilled, their constant struggles filling those positions, but I want them to hear it too with each other, and then I want to bring up the post-secondary training center so that they know that Wells County is working towards a solution for workforce issues they're currently having. And then I also want them to know what CTE courses are already being provided to our students here in Wells County. So about I think the number is like 14.8%, don't quote me on exact percentages, of our students are already currently enrolled in CTE courses. I would really love that to be more, but I think that's a great start. We offer a lot. Our schools provide a lot. And they can, go ahead.
Jess, how that
Yeah.
compares to other counties? Like, is that 14, 15%?
I don't have that number.
Like, are we behind the curve on that? Or-
I don't have that number,
I'd like to
but,
see more, but just,
in general, just Northeast Indiana is 3 times higher in manufacturing and distribution and all that. I would guess that that's a very consistent number within our communities, but I would absolutely, I could take a look at that.
yeah, it'd be interesting to know.
Yeah. In the state of Indiana, out of all the counties, our Area 18 is one of the larger groups of CTE kind of cooperatives. There's other ones that are bigger, and then there's some, obviously, there's some counties that only have one school district, and so it might be just like Huntington, might be just consolidating that made sense for them, and they do provide a really good training and learning center at the Huntington. It's right across the street from Huntington High School. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with that. They provide a great amount of classes for their students to take during the day, and adult learners come in there as well. So with this post-secondary training center, I kind of envision having ESL, which English Second Language classes. We have a really high population of workers that don't speak English. And our employers have done some amazingly clever and crafty things to figure out how to communicate well with those populations. And I think sharing those best practices, like kind of what I was speaking to in our roundtable, I think that'll help sort of shed some light on solutions that are already happening here within our community. But I want to talk about upskilling those workers too, because they might already have a ton of knowledge, whatever factory line they're on or whatever distribution center they're in, logistics-wise, but maybe they just need a certificate. Thinking of Intiva off the top of my head, the line that they're making the door panels for, there's very specific criteria that they have to qualify for that door panel. So with that training center, we can bring in Ivy Tech, or we can bring in Vincennes University. I mean, the options are out there right now as we explore what makes sense for Wells. But I sort of envision bringing in what matters to our workforce here, so that we're always constantly supporting who's here now. I think that when we show that we support who's here now, I just think that gives us a leg up on bringing new employers in, and we can show that we do work hard for the people that are here now. Here's what we're seeing, what we need, so we developed this. Does that make sense? Sort of bringing on what I think envisioning what we need in the future and asking our employers what they need so that we're not kind of swimming upstream, we're sort of going in the same path of what they already currently are seeking. So that's kind of the background of the exploratory group. And then also just wanted to kind of piggyback off of what our school's already doing. Our students have to have work-based learning hours in order to even graduate. It's not just a standard diploma like it was back in the day. There is a lot of work-based learning hours that are needed from them. And not to be complicated, a school official or administrator could definitely explain this better to you, but there's some different criteria for whatever path that student is seeking. But no matter what, they have to have some work-based learning hours. And sort of one of the things I'm trying to bring is a blend of like educator talk and employer talk, and trying to blend the two so that we're getting them what they need. Educators, they have to meet those standards for the state or those students aren't graduating, right? And then our employers are like, yeah, that's great, you do that, but how do I get this, and how do I get this student to do this? So I'm trying to kind of bring those training sessions together so that we're, again, providing what's actually needed, and sort of having a solution instead of just saying, oh, that would be great to have. Sort of want to blend those two. So a lot is going on with that, and it takes a tremendous amount of employee or employer engagement in our community, and we are fortunate to have the businesses that we do have, because you don't always get the student that shines right away. Sometimes it takes some significant effort and work and training with them to get them where they need to be, but our employers are doing that, and I just wanted to throw that out there. We are really fortunate to have the employers that we do have because they're providing that work-based learning and they're paying those students. A lot of these students are paid. They're not just showing up and saying like, oh, I'm here, and then just kind of sitting there. They're working for that employer. So lots of things to come in the future as we continue to sort of build those relationships with our employers so that the schools and the guidance counselors have good relationships and they know, hey, this kid would be a great fit for so-and-so. So working a lot on that next year. That'll be a high priority for economic development. It's just making sure we continue to sort of work with all of those sides. And then you guys were all sent kind of an annoying SWOT analysis. I heard a lot of feedback. It was quite long. I just wanted to point out a few of the things that came out. I can send this all to you guys. It's a compilation of everything. So it's going to have all 11 counties. So not all of this is applicable just to Wells. It's really our region.
Mind sending it to me?
But I figured it would be something that you guys might want to take a look at, and there's going to be no shock here, but some of our weaknesses are childcare, site readiness, infrastructure, again, probably need that. That's also going to be kind of a top priority for economic development next year, is making sure we have some additional sites that are ready to, like shovel ready. We've got the zoning done properly. If it needs to be on a rail, we work through that to make sure that that's done. Those can be monsters to get through, and so having some of those options to purchase the land and ready to go, that's going to be pretty important, I think, in throughout 26. So you'll hear me talk a little bit more about that. Mention the childcare thing. That's an issue everywhere. And it's an issue everywhere, but I don't know if you guys all know that Adams and Wells has a coalition. It's called Imagine Early. And there's already really good work being done on that front too. And I don't want to take anything from Imagine Early and Ashley King. She's doing really good work. But they have the Tri-Share program and the Co-Share program. And just to give you a brief, the Tri-Share program is where the employee pays a third, the employer pays a third, and then there's state funding for the other third of childcare. The employer can set a max. I don't want to go over this. This is part of their employment package, similar to what medical costs are and different things. And then there's the co-share. So if they didn't qualify for Tri-Share, co-share is a direct split between the employee and the employer. Again, could all be a part of the package of employment to sort of help those parents who that's their holdup from being in the workforce. That's their holdup, is quality childcare, not just someone you call and drop your kid off with, quality childcare. And there's a lot of conversation that could be had on that, but just to bring that to your guys' attention, there's already really good work being done in the county to somewhat be a solution for that issue. And then just kind of, lastly is housing. Again, not a surprise to anybody in here. We know we're short when it comes to that, but what I think I want to just make the point here is that we're short on diversifying what kind of housing we have. Not everybody wants a 1 to 4 owner-occupied home. Some people just want to rent, want a condo, they don't want the maintenance, things like that. So I think just as we continue to plan for our future, maybe keep in our minds on that just having different types of housing options is going to be really critical. I think in 10 years from now, when we look back, I don't want us to go, God, I wish we would have thought of that, or wish we would have done something like that. I mean, you're always going to have moments like that, but I think if you're planning accordingly now, and you know that diversifying some of those things is important, that should be somewhat part of our plan as we move forward. So those were just weaknesses. Of course, we have strengths too. I didn't bring those up. We got a lot of strengths as well. We're in a really great space. But I thought I would just give you guys a few tidbits. Any questions for me? Anything that I could be working on, or anything I could update you guys on tonight?
I just wanted, I've been in education for a long time, and I take a lot of CTE kids to their place. But I do want to tell, I think you guys, the health service classes that they take are CTE. There's a lot of classes that students take that people don't realize they're CTE classes.
Right.
They may take those classes, make more of a determination as to what they want to go into, and then pursue it on further education. It's really, there's so much advantage by checking out some of these, courses. Some of them take machine trades or auto mechanics or building trades. they're checking out to see, maybe that's something I do want to do, or maybe it's not. But, you know, they're getting some education and learning something through that that's totally different than in the classroom.
Yep, absolutely. And even our college-bound students, this is something that our counselors talk to our students about, just so everyone's aware. But if you're college-bound, you're Purdue-bound, let's just say, engineering is what you want to do. Taking one of the electrical engineering classes at Bluffton, or taking one of the,
Agriculture class.
yeah, any of those things, and having a little bit of that working knowledge is just a boost in your resume and your experience, and equally as important as finding out what you do like is finding out what you don't like, so that you don't pursue something you don't want to do in college. So, yeah, I mean, I have a son that's, you know, college-bound, at least at this point, and he will without a doubt be in one of those CTE courses, because I want him to have some experience in that. But I think a lot of our counselors know that too. I just wish we could get those numbers from 14 to like 25%, somewhere in that range. We have a lot of students graduating, and they're determining that they're going to college, and that's absolutely fine, without a doubt. I just think if they had a little bit of that, either a great internship experience, or work-based learning experience, or a CTE experience, they might, again, be able to determine sort of what that path is for them in a more clear way, or again, what that path is not for them. So, yeah, lots of really good things happening. Lots of organizations already sort of pulling that weight in our community. You guys, there's just a lot of things happening, and people are putting the work in, and I think you guys should know that.
Absolutely.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Jessica.
Yeah.
Thank you for all that you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for your time.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Mike, you're up next.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's a little later than it was the other day when I saw you guys. So I'm here tonight to present my 2026 city budget. I was here, was that last or so?
Thursday, yeah.
Do the statewide 1222, what I call the 1222 fund. This budget is what the city and the county split 50-50.
So just to clarify, the other one that's in our book is just Wells County, right?
Well, that's state,
It's a
that's
statewide.
statewide, so it's state funded.
State, okay.
So that
That's
one's, so
usually
that,
we get from the Indiana 911 board through the phone charges.
Yeah, okay,
That's
and this one's
This is what then I will present. So
and this one operates under an interlocal agreement that
agreement that
exists
that you
between the
put
city
together, okay.
and the
Just want to
county.
make sure I'm clear on what
So-
the two different.
They're confusing.
Yeah,
very confusing.
okay.
So yeah, to stay in line with the interlocal agreement,
And this is the one we share, right?
yes,
Yeah,
correct.
50-50.
Okay.
Yep. So to stay in line with that interlocal agreement, I have to present this to the 911 Board Budget Committee, and then the 911 Board. We've done all of that. Earlier tonight, I presented it to the commissioners, and now I'm here with you.
Yes,
And then
okay.
tomorrow night, I will be in front of the city council.
Okay.
So I know you guys all have a copy of this. I don't know if you want me to go through it line by line, or if you just have, I don't,
I'll just make a couple quick
he doesn't want me to go.
comments to make it maybe a little bit easier. So as part of the interlocal agreement, we had salaries that were in the 911 statewide fund that, we have 5 salaries in there. Over 5 years, we eliminate 1 per year, because the idea with the statewide 911 is that's for capital. It was never meant to pay salaries. I'm not sure how it ever ended up that way, but it did. So we're now in our 3rd year. So when you see the increase in salaries, it's not like it's pay increases for everybody. That's also pulling another employee that was in 911 into this budget. Okay? Hopefully that
And then
makes
our
sense.
hope then is over time, then that fund can build, and we'll be able to do projects using that money and not,
And is that the one that comes from the landline?
Yeah.
Whatever's
Yeah.
left of them.
yeah, it's like, what is it, 32,000?
Because it was dying out as we
Yeah.
went through, yeah.
Like 32,000, something like that, yeah.
Okay, that's what it's generating per year now? or-
Yeah, that's our portion, that's what the
Okay,
state
okay.
provides to us. Want me to go through?
Go for it.
All right. So our first line, salaries, wages, has increased. Now, the yellow column is what I was budgeted last year. The blue column is what I'm requesting this year. Now, I will say, though, in the very top two lines, the salaries and the overtime, what I don't like about this spreadsheet, when I transferred $25,000 out of the salary and wages into the overtime this year because we were running short because we started the year very short-handed. So it makes it look like my budgeted amount was $826,000, which it was actually $851,000, which kind of changes the increase, decrease column at the very right of the page. So this year I'm asking for $917,800, which that is a budgeted amount for all 15 positions. I don't have all 15 positions, but the city has always allowed me to budget for that because our hiring has been so sporadic. And I have kept the hiring open. I have not closed hiring. We have just kept it going pretty much since we've had the interlocal agreement. So, I get a rush of applications. I might be able to hire a couple, just boom, boom, and then it dies off for a little bit. And right now, I've got 2 applications right now that I haven't had an application in quite a while this year. So I know it seems very high, but that is for 15 dispatchers. And you can see the projected for 2025 is $671,000. It's quite a bit under what I was budgeted.
How many short are you?
Right now, I need 15. I got 12, so I'm down 3.
And just so everybody is clear, that we reimburse the city our 50% of the cost after the expenses have been incurred.
Yeah.
So even though you see the budget, but you go over and look, you see the expended amount, and go, why there's such a big difference? We're only paying the expended amount as it occurs, but we have to budget for 15, even though we may only have 12 employees.
Correct. Yeah, that was a mistake. That was something that had to be changed in the original agreement because it was worded in there that the county was responsible for 50% of the budget amount.
Right.
So we changed it to the expended
Again,
amount.
that's in the rears after it's already been expensed.
So if those monies are generated, do they carry over then? Are you carrying money over? Let's say you don't
It stays
use.
in that 911 PSAP fund.
Okay, so it circulates inside of there then is what
We don't
we're,
use
so
that.
let's say you don't use 12 employees instead of the 15.
In this fund,
Yeah,
that's not non-reverting, like,
That's the county's or the city's general.
that's our, yeah.
okay, but it funnels back around. If you don't use them up, if you don't use that monies for dispatchers, you don't have them, that stays in the city budget and
Well, their 50% stays there, but we have an
But
expense.
we'll only pay, yeah,
Ours.
only
Yeah.
when you have
Correct,
employees. we
correct.
actually pay for.
Correct.
Yes, yeah. The overtime, I originally budgeted last year 25,000. Like I said, being shorthanded at the beginning of the year, I ran out of money very quickly. I have, again, this year, I budgeted just a little bit more than that. I'm hoping that we will have more people hired and that won't be an issue. So I would have liked to have brought that number down quite a bit, but I just didn't feel like I could yet. But once we get fully staffed, I have already talked to my supervisors about making sure our shifts are balanced. I don't want, so when we get to 15, our minimum number in the dispatch center will be 3 dispatchers will be on duty all the time. Right now, we're at 2. And I don't want our schedule set up thin where we will have a lot of days where we're at that minimum number of 3. That way if somebody gets sick or needs a day off, I don't want to pay overtime to have somebody cover a shift for somebody else. So we're working on getting our schedules balanced as we add more people. So the next couple lines, medical insurance, FICA, PERF, I have no control over those. I pretty much put in there what our clerk treasurer tells me I need to put in there. The clothing allowance has gone up $1,500 because as, we add more. I mean, I have 2 more dispatchers this year than I had last year. A couple of them are not getting their clothing allowance yet. They don't get that until they've been on for a year, but they will get that then starting some point next year. So I need a little more money to be able to take care of the clothing allowance. Plus, I've never quite figured this out, but when I do hire a new employee, I have to pay for their pre-employment physical and a drug screen, and for whatever reason, that's the fund that comes out of. So if I do hire a couple more, I'll need a little extra money there as well. Office supplies and communications, I've never really used a whole lot of money out of either one of those. The communication is set up for a cell phone for me. I still have a city cell phone, and I have yet to pay for it. The police department is still paying for my cell phone. So, yeah. Well, this is recorded, so. Travel, I'm not sure exactly. I don't like looking at that forecasted column because it's showing that I'm going to spend more than the 3,000. I have no plans in doing that, but that is just mileage for myself and other dispatchers who will go to trainings. This is, I announced in the commissioners meeting, this is the first year since COVID that somebody from our department we're going to be able to go to the 911 professional conference in Fishers this year. So myself and the supervisors, we're going to take that in. There's a lot of breakout sessions for training, so it'll be a good thing for everybody to attend this year. I had to bump up my utility line. I really thought last year I based it on my average use, and obviously the utilities went up a little bit. I'm a little off, so I bumped that up to 11,000 from the 9,600. Repair and maintenance, I'm going to keep that at 15,000. I mean, we have some equipment in the dispatch center that's got some age on it, and we just don't know. I mean, we had our amplifier for our fire paging system go out on us this year. We're still working on our backup system. Stuff like that just breaks, so we just need to make sure we have that money, so in case we have those types of incidences. Other service charges, the original budget amount in 2025 was 1,500. I'm going to budget the same. If you notice, the total forecast for 2025 shows that I'm going to spend 37,000, which I am, but that's encumbered from last year. Like I explained to the commissioners, we had to add a fourth 911 phone because we got a fourth console in dispatch. So we added the fourth console, or the fourth phone, and then our original 3 phones, the maintenance agreement, they were going to be like 4 years off. So we renegotiated and got a new maintenance agreement for all 4 phones that come due at the same time. And it also is paying for, they're called MEVO phones, which it's an emergency. Like if we ever have to relocate the dispatch center, if something would happen, those phones, we can set them up anywhere and have them ready to go within about 30 minutes to receive 911 calls from wherever we're at. So that is part of that, and there's some maintenance with those as well. So I will be spending the $37,000, but it was, like I said, it was encumbered from last year's budget. Where are we at here? Professional meetings and trainings. Again, I explained with the commissioners also, we've been doing a lot of online trainings. The company that we have our protocol system with, so like when somebody calls 911, dispatcher enters the call, they're going to get a protocol screen up. So like if there's a medical emergency and somebody needs CPR, those instructions are right there. They're able to provide all that information to the caller. That company, they have a training library, and for us to use that, it's just over $4,000. But the Indiana 911 board, not only, they give us money every month, but the other thing that they do is they provide a lot of training. And they have, one of the things that they do, they have approved trainings, and that program that we are in, when I get that invoice, I send it to the Indiana 911 board. They pay every penny of it. So that's training we don't have to pay for. Then I can utilize this training money for like our going to the conference that we're going to and just other trainings that we've been able. There's a lot of benefit that comes from going to face-to-face training, a lot of networking, just different things, and you can learn a lot of things from people from other agencies. So you don't get that with the online courses. I think the online courses are great. There's a lot of information there, but it's good to have that face-to-face training. And then moving on, the last line, equipment and furniture, I dropped it down for $4,000 from 34 to 30. We've been fortunate, and I have decided after we had a console in the dispatch center broke 2 years ago, I replaced it with an uplift desk, and $1,700 for an uplift desk, a radio console for dispatch center, brand new is $28,000. So there's no reason the dispatchers like him. We've had it for about 17, pushing 18 months, and it's used 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we've not had a problem with it. And if we do, $1,700, it's not $28,000. So,
Got a lot of years in there.
exactly. So that is my budget. Anybody, any questions?
So just to clarify then, actually, the Bluffton City Council will be the ones that
Yes.
officially make
Yeah.
the decision on this?
No, we officially have to pass this. So we're going to vote on it in a minute because
Oh,
the
and
way the
it moves.
interlocal,
Okay.
yeah, the way the interlocal agreement works is that we had a budget committee that passed it.
Okay.
The 911 board passed it, the commissioners pass
Passed
it,
it.
we do, and then city does.
And then the city have, they'll be the
Yeah,
last one.
because it is a 50/50 arrangement with the
Yeah.
city, even though it's housed with the city.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
We didn't do this last year, I don't
Yeah,
believe it.
we do
Did
it
we?
every
This
year.
part of it we did? Okay. Just have to figure it out.
I have a funny, or not funny question, but I do have a question.
okay.
So, your clothing allowance, why do dispatchers need a clothing?
That is a good question.
Because
And
they're,
I'm actually working on eliminating that.
yeah, because who sees that?
Nobody. But see, so when I first started in 91, I started as a dispatcher before I became a police officer. We actually wore a uniform with a badge. It looked just like a police uniform. We were just like flip-flop of what the officers, they wore a navy blue shirt and light blue pants. We wore a light blue shirt and navy blue. I hated it. I would go to the grocery store or something before or after work, and I had a plain blue coat on, and I'd zip it up because I'm like, I don't want somebody thinking I'm a police officer, and like if something happens,
Looking at you.
you know, I can't do anything for them. So we went from that to more of a polo shirt, and up until just a couple years ago, our dispatchers answered the front counter, and we don't anymore. So once we have switched from that, there's really no reason to, and I've talked with the mayor, and that might be something that goes away even in this. But this is the budget that was approved, so that's why I'm presenting it.
Thank you.
The other quick item to touch on is that after we had already approved the budget through the proper channels, it was presented, and we knew at budget time it was likely going to happen. We thought it might be middle of next year, not so quick, but there's likely going to be an opportunity the first of the year where they might be moving locations, which will probably require an additional from us at that point. If you get a chance between now and then, I encourage you to go look at their space, and you can see why they're crammed in like sardines, and it's not.
Yeah.
It's becoming less and less of a usable space as you have more people. So they have an opportunity where they can make a move. So I just want to put on everybody's radar that request likely would be coming maybe by the end of the year as that sped up
Yeah.
with the purchase of possibly a building that Bluffton
Yeah.
was looking at.
Something that we've talked about for a couple of years, but this kind of happened pretty quick. But to what Seth was saying, our dispatch center, you know, we're housed in the police department, and our room is like, I think it's 357 square feet. And in 2007, that was renovated when there were 7 dispatchers. And we're working with 12 now, looking to add 3 more to have 15. So our new location would provide us with an actual dispatch floor that would be just under 1,000 square feet. But then it would also provide some office space for myself and the supervisors and some training area. And we would be able to, it would have a new server room. Right now, our server room is probably smaller than the men's restroom here. And the server room at this other facility that the city's looking into is about the same size as the actual dispatch center that we're currently in. So, you know, it would be a tremendous upgrade. Plus, I'm hoping we can take IT with us because we utilize IT with the city way more than any other agency. I mean, everything we do is pretty
And more
sensitive.
urgent too,
Yeah,
that it works right.
yeah.
So do I have a motion to approve the budget as presented by Mike.
Yes, so moved.
Thank you, Steve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Todd. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Josh, you're up now.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to come tonight. Josh Barkley, representing the town of Ossian. Wanted to just take a minute of your time, or two, or three, just to introduce a project that the town's been working on for quite a few years. History of our downtown, we were given a property in between the current BKM building and the Napa building that the town, was a blighted area, took down. It used to be when you walked in, actually the first time I walked in that property, I stepped through the front door step, and thankfully it wasn't a basement, so it was literally Jurassic Park in that building. So we took it down, then partnered with Wells County Revitalization, arm of the foundation, to secure the Napa building next to it, and in that time also put out RFPs, kind of were slow going for requests for proposals for a redevelopment project in the downtown. Logan Properties, which is owned by Martin Hunt Locker, he is currently done 2 projects that the county has partnered with in regard to the spec buildings in Ossian. He has came forward with a project. It's a mixed-use project, $5.4 million approximately. In regard of that, 60% is private, his private equity and construction loan. And ultimately, it's a mixed-use project with first floor apartments and storefront space that will be utilized along State Road 1, Jefferson Street and Craig Street. And we're, ultimately working through that. Also, funding will be, initial building will be forgiven, the Napa building, that initial investment by both, I believe it was actually the chamber who provided money toward that. The town of Ossian did as well. We'll work through that. There's also a IEDC redevelopment tax credit that Wells County Revitalization is working through, and will actually be the kind of the funding mechanism through it, and then also ready grants. The project has been not fully, the money's not in the bank obviously, but given the commitment of $800,000 grant/loan. Half of the money will be a grant toward the project. The other half will be a low interest, 0 or 1%, that will be TIF backed. Ultimately, the town of Ossian created a TIF, the downtown TIF here a few years ago. But ultimately, 6 months ago, I've talked to numerous members of the council, and some I've been able to get a hold of, some I haven't, but ultimately, 6 months ago, it was never on the town of Ossian's mind or anybody's mind that ultimately that, and I commend the Land Trust Project for being innovative and asking government for a loan. So ultimately, that's by no means asking for any commitments, anything at all tonight, just ultimately introducing and the idea of, what you're, I believe, going to be voting on, that was, approved by commissioners as well, your, the resolution there and a loan agreement, but also the, ultimately the town of Ossian, toward, and we could get into the weeds later of everything, but would also request the $1 million line of credit toward the construction loan on the project at that same 5% rate that's been discussed previously by the Land Trust and all the entities that are involved, and then also, the 90,000 toward, we would use as what I believe the land trust is kind of more of a fee-for-services agreement with PAYGO. We would ask for that same commitment from the county. Again, I think it's great, downtown revitalization in Bluffton, and to keep moving on what Bluffton Now and many years of private development have done as far as that goes. But obviously, we're Wells County, we're not just Bluffton, we're not just Markle, we're not just Ossian, we're Penedo, we're Petroleum, we're everyone, and I think that's we all have, Councilman Harnish has talked about, generations to come, and I think that we all serve as elected officials and have served, many of us in this room for a lot of years, got involved because of that, ultimately to make sure that we have a place to call home someday and generations to come. So I'll just, again, be in touch with all of you here in the future as this transpires. Plans are drawn, the project's going to move forward, and we just definitely hope that Wells County will partner with the town of Ossian and Logan Properties for it. So.
Josh, you mentioned IEDC
Mhm.
tax credit. How much tax credits already committed to the project?
Right at about 1.2 million.
So there are already 1.2 million of credits already given.
Correct.
800,000 given by Ready Grants.
Correct.
And then what was the value of the Napa building that was given?
Roughly, the purchase price is 80,000.
So there's already quite a bit of money being provided through government entities for this project already.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Just make sure I'm following the numbers.
Sure, yep.
Josh,
Okay.
what's the total project cost?
5.4 million.
Okay.
And
The total project cost we're talking about in downtown is 50 million. 1 million is 2% of that project cost. So if we're going to be equitable about this, we would contribute 2% in the form of a line of credit.
well, wasn't it 30 million? I guess the number, I mean.
The number
it's-
I'm familiar with is 40 to 50
Yeah,
as a potential.
I guess
Do you know, Josh, are there, because I love the idea of helping all the surrounding communities as well. This isn't just, Bluffton was the starting point.
Sure.
Are there historical buildings within Ossian that could be part of this conversation with the land trust? Like, are there buildings like, I don't know, higher, obviously you got somebody willing to sell the building for starters, right? So, but I don't know, like, if Hirely's fits into the historical side or.
Hirely's, we've talked with them for 3 years, and,
Yeah.
ultimately, and
Are there other Bluffton buildings in Ossian that you think that we ought to be talking to as part of it, and not just looking only at Bluffton?
well, every community has blighted buildings. I
Right.
mean, the Napa building's in bad shape. It's in bad shape. I mean, that's why ultimately we've been trying to revitalize downtown, and those buildings. I mean, there's lots of buildings that are.
So I would encourage the land trust to take a look at those as well. That you're right, it should be community-based. I don't have a problem with them looking beyond just, the buildings here in Bluffton.
Yeah. And I'm not, again, I think that it's a discussion of, public versus private. Ultimately, the land trust, thankfully, they won't be taking it off the tax rolls. You guys have answered that. I really, and it's a discussion for another night. I mean,
And I'd love to have the discussion.
yeah,
I think it's
nope, I think it's definitely important. I think it's just something we, need to discuss. And again, 6 months ago, to be honest, I don't feel that the government should be involved in the banking business. But, Mayor Mincer mentioned, hey, we put the county puts money into a 4% CD, and it goes elsewhere. We don't know where that money's going. Ultimately, through the land trust, the 5% loan, if you work with a town on the same deal of that same loan, we know that it's going to be going to XYZ downtown buildings, et cetera. And, there's lots of different things we've worked on because, I know it was mentioned earlier tonight about people buying buildings and flipping them. That happens right now. I mean, there's apartments in this county that were flipped recently, so, those are things that can happen. In our project, we've put into our agreements that are pending, that things like a 10-year, if you sell something within 10 years, all the original investment goes back to, goes back first to Ossian or back to, in your guys' case, this is a 2-year project, so ultimately it'd be a 2-year loan on that million.
Because looking at that project, I think from the numbers given, is if they're getting a 1.2 million tax credit, which is not.
Yeah, it's 43%
They're
of.
getting free money for this project.
Sure.
Which is a lot different to me than a loan.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So I think that's pretty good that the community's stepping up to make
Oh, yeah.
sure these things get done.
Yep.
Otherwise, which is part of what I said earlier, is
Sure.
that if there isn't, then where do our communities go?
Sure.
And Austin's a great place. I mean, you think how close it is to Fort Wayne, to the, interstate corridor. I mean,
Sure.
I think there's a lot of growth opportunities in that Austin area.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, there's lots, between Ossian, Bluffton, and Markle, it's all.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but yeah, ultimately of that 5.4, about 58% is private equity or private money,
Right.
Through the developer, and then about 43% is between the town, the Wells County Revitalization, IEDC, and the Ready Grant, so, yep,
Well, thank you for sharing it.
all good.
Josh, and keep us informed on it. And
Yep.
when you have a proposal, feel free to bring it before us.
Sure, sounds great. Thank you.
All right, the next is, we do have to vote on ordinance 2025-07, modifying the local income tax rates for Wells County. That's in conjunction with the public hearing that we just rescheduled for October. Is that right, Lisa?
Yes, you just have to, if you want to keep it the same as what we advertised the last time, I have a copy.
Do you want to just walk through that scenario a little bit? I know that you were told that the information was correct, and then they got it, and they rejected it, right?
Yes. So there were blank spaces in the second page where it says allocation rate category for certified shares. And those two boxes were left blank, which is what our last year was left blank as well. So they now want a percentage in there. If you look on the front page, it says certified shares is 1.4%. So the 1% goes to certified shares, the 0.4 goes to levy freeze. So this just clarifies what the 1.4%, where it is going.
Does that make sense? So just due to clerical, we just need to go ahead and basically adopt the new
You just need to-
ordinance. We have to adopt the new ordinance.
No, you can't adopt it yet, we have to.
Yeah, you have to advertise it first, I
Yes,
guess,
Oh,
yeah.
you
okay.
need to vote to have me advertise it again as presented.
Yeah, because you couldn't, yeah.
Does that make
think you-
sense?
Does that make sense to everybody?
So we're going to vote for an October 7th public hearing.
Yes.
There you go.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Scott. Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Vicki. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And then the next one, Mr. Pastor, if you want to come up on behalf of the foundation, and then Mr. Harnish, if you want to contribute comments as well. This is regarding line of credit, and then also, we already approved the fee for PAYGO, but this line of credit was the same thing that the commissioners passed about an hour or so ago. Let's make that about an hour and a half ago.
Thank you, first of all, and I'll say, I'm here for two different reasons tonight. Earlier, obviously, for the probation department, and here, completely different representation for the Wells County Foundation. But I won't go as in-depth as I did with the commissioners earlier tonight, as I know almost all of you, except for Mr. Wicker, recently sat through, a presentation from PAYGO. I know, you're well-versed in the issue, and so, I'll just make a couple points that I think are important here. Taking a statistic from Bluffton now, almost 29% of second floor space is vacant in downtown Bluffton, 26.9% of third floor space is vacant in downtown Bluffton. we had some discussion previously. And these are clearly properties the market has demonstrated are not viable for them to pursue. I know there was some concerns about, competition with the private sector there. These have been buildings that are not wanted, okay? And the reason, we think we can make this work is only through, the use of historical grants. And so when we talk about the size of this project, a commitment from $3 million from the foundation, and ask for, potential loan availability from both the city and the county, which the city has approved. We're talking about as Councilman Harnish said previously, a large-scale project that becomes $40 to $50 million, with those grants. And so, the vast majority of the way we're able to do this is by achieving and gaining those historical grants for these specific types of buildings that have achieved that status. The goal of this isn't for us to turn a profit. The goal is to fulfill the mission of the Wells County Foundation. We want to enhance the quality of life in Wells County. That's what we're here to do. This is a long-term project. This isn't something, that there is any mission to, revitalize and flip. I know in other projects, I heard, 10 years as a phrase. We want these buildings to be in good shape, long-term. And so, by not having the mission of turning a profit on this, we'll be able to continue to invest and make sure that these buildings downtown, once we put the money into this, stay in good quality shape, hopefully in perpetuity. As we look at this, I think, we talked a lot in the commissioners meeting about security of this project. This is backed by the properties themselves will be the setup for this. And so, your risk in terms of loss, if there were to be a loan here, should potentially be pretty low because there's real estate tied to it. Obviously there's some chance of depreciation of an asset, but, hopefully not significant. I think the bigger risk is not doing anything. I don't think we get opportunities that come around like this ever, or often or ever. And I think the foundation is, very excited to pursue this opportunity through this land trust, and really hope that the county council tonight decides to join us in this venture. Thank you.
So just a couple of quick comments, kind of wearing dual hats here. I also sit on the foundation as well. One of the things that initially with this project that I was a no on was over a year and a half ago, they were talking about that the county gives $1 million and becomes, quote, an equity partner in it. That I had no interest in that at all. When it suddenly evolved, like this thing has changed probably 100 times in the last year and a half, is that it became a loan that would be backed by first mortgages immediately on these buildings when they're purchased. So it does protect us with the fact that we will have collateral being used for this loan. Also, my understanding is that the foundation will use their money first. This is second-tier money that's going to be used. And along the way, and I made this clear to the commissioners, the other goal is that by showing that the city already approved this, the commissioners did, and if the county decides to, the council does, and the foundation, it also allows us as a unified unit to go after a lot of other grant money that's out there. There are a lot of grants that have started to open up for projects like this for rural communities, that would give us an opportunity to, hopefully, what would be great is if we're able to raise more money and grant money, we maybe don't even need this money down the road because they would only come to us and use it as they need it. So it's not like we're just going to say, okay, we got this pot of money, we're not going after other resources. We're going to be going after a lot of other potential resources that might be grants or different things that hopefully this, in a perfect world, it probably won't work that way, but that most of this money may not even need to be used. But, the analogy I use living out in Uniondale, I can drive 20, 25 minutes to Fort Wayne, eat wherever I want. Or I could come to Bluffton. And there just are not a lot of opportunities in Bluffton where there are places to eat out a lot. Unless you like fast food, there's plenty of those. But anyway, I think this does give us a chance to really make Bluffton, revitalize Bluffton, make it what it needs to be. And I know Councilman Harnish has been part of this the last several months as well, but happy to entertain any questions because the ask will be, as the commissioners did, is to just vote on a resolution for the loan as well, to make the funds available.
If I could, Mr. Bonsfield, I know you had a question previously about part of the fee structure here. The fee structure to PAYGO is during the acquisition of the properties. We hope that's as quick as possible, and so, you'd almost look at that like a realtor fee. We're not hoping this draws in a year from now is what, the ask is committed to. I think that's probably an indication that things are not going as quickly as we like, and so there's no commitment asked from the county for that fee beyond that. And it certainly wouldn't be something that you'd expect to be a yearly cost going forward.
And all that the land trust is doing is basically contracting with that 90,000 higher PAYGO to go purchase the properties. It does not mean that the land trust has to use PAYGO as a developer.
Correct.
Another developer steps up and they want to be competitive, if they want to be able to, go after the tax credits, that's what that land trust will be, the one that will vet then those developers.
I went to Blackford County this week. I saw some of their downtowns. I don't want that to be us.
Can you speak to the mic? I apologize.
I went to Blackford County this weekend. I saw some of their downtown buildings.
Still can't hear you.
Is your mic
Is your mic on?
Third time's a charm. Went to Blackford County this weekend, saw some of their downtown buildings. And some of them are, you can tell that at one point it was a labor of love. There were wealthy people, people of means who cared about their community, and they put up beautiful buildings. And over the past 60, 70 years, those buildings weren't maintained. And you can see the sort of remnants of what was once a beautiful downtown, and it's deteriorated. I don't want that to become us. This is more than economic development. It's about the will to survive. And small towns are really feeling a hurt all around the country. And I think this gives us really a rare opportunity to turn it around. You guys have heard my pitch on this enough, so I don't have a whole lot more to add.
And the other last part of that is, I've had 3 calls from Huntington, Wabash, and Tipton. They're all going to be moving forward with this project probably. So if we don't stay competitive with some of these other communities, this is going to make things harder, I think. So again, it would be a secured loan. Any questions?
So I've seen the presentation papers, and it says that an average building to buy it and build it out is $2.5 million. And I think that's where it's saying that, so there's roughly 12 targeted buildings, I think you mentioned, to make a project worthwhile.
To start, yeah, it could go higher than that would be the goal.
Ultimately, the $3 million that the foundation is putting in is their first money, and then if they need the $1 million from each,
City and county.
City and county, where, and I understand, yes, it's funded through historical tax credits, et cetera, which maybe those historical tax credits, and we talk about other grants, typically grants are 80-20 or, that type of thing. So there's money that's gonna have to get kicked in, and a lot of times you don't see any of that money for a long time. I mean, we've those grants. So what is the plan for the other 27 million until the tax, is that something that the foundation's gonna front, or?
No, my understanding from their other projects, which there are 3 that they've got, that I've already spoken to that they've done, is that they basically acquire the buildings, and then they go after, and then they get the historical tax credits and new credits, and then when that money comes in, then that's the money that they use to start then the rehabilitation of the buildings.
So
in the
money's
meantime,
in the account ultimately then?
Yes.
And then
Then we do the
start
rehabilitation.
working on the buildings, so.
Yeah.
And then PAYGO, yeah, the 180,000, but what is the other fee? I mean, if they bring in $50 million or $30 million, is PAYGO, I've heard anywhere from 3 to 5%, are they being paid $4 million? And if they bring in 30, are they
that'd be negotiated with the land trust. I've not seen any firm numbers. So that would be up to land, because we don't know if Pego will be the developer. Like I said, we could have other developers out there. So whatever developers that's going to be competitive, that can also go after these credits as well. So, but yeah, that's, I think, to be determined, because we don't know who the developer is going to be yet.
But ultimately, that money's gonna have to, I mean, they're gonna have to pay somebody to do it. But that's not a public thing? I mean, if we're getting public, you know, if the taxpayer of Wells County is partnering with a project like that.
Or making a loan, not equity stake.
Correct, and I understand that, but.
And I do think the goal of the foundation is to have an event where this is going to get rolled out on their end, because we're kind of, the foundation's really running the show along with the land trust. They're the ones that are, you know, getting into the weeds on that part. Now, on the land trust board, there will be a county and a city person that will be on that land trust board. So, but yeah, some of that will get figured out. So.
Back to the security side of it, since the city's putting in $1 million, the county would be proposed to put $1 million in, then the foundation has what kind of money?
They just said up to $3 million.
Up to $3 million, and when these buildings are purchased, so in that situation, how do they determine who's number one, who's number two, who's number three? If things went south, if things went wrong?
Yep. Yeah. The attorney addressed this during the commissioners' meeting earlier.
Because that's when things get ugly, when bills come in on something like this.
When a building is purchased and they need to use our funds will be used to purchase that building, and we will have the first mortgage on that building, and that will be us.
Specific.
So they're specifically all the dollars or whoever will be in particular areas there.
No.
So if we never touch any of your money and we only use city money, you know, we'd identify X property and Y property or mortgages, you know, that we would, and vice versa. And, you know, as we stated previously, the goal is hopefully to use as little of county or city, you know, loans as possible.
I guess that's the part that concerns me is, you know, we're in we'd be in the lending business and, you know, from the county side, and when you get into that, you get into these situations to what control do you have, you know, what security do you have that?
So they would.
And then if there's other lenders that get involved and they're starting into the project, and then, you know, it really starts to get dicey if things went bad. Again, I'm looking at worst case scenario.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is taxpayers' dollars. And,
yeah, if you're
you know,
not
I
first
think
mortgage on it, but we would be.
But even then it's portions of things go into litigation and bankruptcy, whatever might happen, then things get percentages. But you want to be on the high side, you want to be number one, is who you'd want to be versus number two or number three or
According to the
whoever.
attorney drafted, we would be number one with any of the money that we loan towards this project.
Okay, because like I said, that's the part that really concerns me, is getting into commercial real estate. From a lending standpoint, that's a very, it can, you know, there's some bad situations if it went bad, unfortunately.
Yeah, we recognize there's no risk here. We also recognize there's risk in, you know, city or county doing nothing, and these buildings deteriorate, and, you know, we've all seen situations where, you know, there's public funds to tear down a building because the market doesn't want it, and there's no place for it, and it becomes unsafe. You know, we know there's a potential that happens to our downtown buildings if we do nothing, so, no, I won't represent there's no risk to you, because there certainly, you know, can be some, but, you know, backed by specific real estate property, I hope eases some of that, and as Seth pointed out, you know, being the first claim on that is important.
And I did work with the attorney on it to make sure that we would be protected specifically against what you were talking about, is that if you have several liens on a property,
Yes.
who's first in line?
Exactly.
And so he
Because there's litigation gets
drafted,
involved and it gets
yeah,
dragged
he drafted
out.
this very clearly, that any money we give, that we would be the first mortgage on it, and we would have first dibs should something go south with that property.
Again, then it's based upon percentages, if whatever's left or whatever's involved in it. It's not, you never get 100% back, and usually in those cases, if there's something that goes bad. I guess that's the part that concerns me. There's a lot of things that go on out here that you see happen, and I'm not saying none of, you know, would, and I think it's a great project, don't get me wrong. But I just, I guess I stand here from a county, Wells County standpoint. It's, being in the lending business for commercial property, I guess, is not something I ever thought I'd ever be sitting here
contemplating at this point,
So
so.
we also have an opportunity where we have something drop in our lap that we never thought we would either, and that's to do a $40 to $50 million project to revitalize the city.
It's true.
So, any other questions? Council? If not, do I have is there a ordinance number on this one?
There's resolution 2025-08. There's this thing.
Okay, so that's one more.
Yep.
All right, so do I have a motion to approve Wells County Resolution Number 2025-08?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Brian. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay. No.
Thank you very much.
Can I make one more comment?
Yes.
I guess, I hope it's not Mr. Pastore's intention, but I think that it's from the position that I'm seeing this in, it's the foundation against the private industry. And just on the talk of, people assume that if the Austin project goes, that guy's just gonna turn around and do it, turn around and flip that project. Well, because it's made mention, we put that 10-year thing, that was put in ultimately to protect the taxpayer. And, we have no agreement with the foundation saying that they promise never to sell the projects. So I guess I hope that that's not.
We can work on that.
A foundation that relies on philanthropic efforts from private industry who invest in this community. I really hope that that's not the direction that the foundation is going, that they're trying to push. And I know that's not necessarily, but when comments are made, I feel like it's the people of downtown Bluffton that have invested in downtown Bluffton, private industry has, and over the years, and that's what it comes, because yes, people, the foundation and its board is going to protect the foundation, because they want to make sure that $30 million still is there, and the endowment keeps rolling, and all the things keep going, but if you're going to pay property taxes, your cost is there, no different than private industry's cost is there. So you're going to have to charge premiums, and $1,200 to $1,400 in downtown Bluffton is the going rate in this area. So that's the going rate, but you also have to take property taxes out of it, et cetera. So there's a lot of things and a lot of costs that, I hope that as elected officials, we keep looking at how much money is going to be left at the end of the day, because ultimately the land trust is going to be running a business no different than anybody else's. So, I just hope that that's,
Well, and that what I hope, which is what I said before, Josh, is that they're buying buildings nobody else in this room wants to buy.
But
So you go buy them and rehab them, right?
That is a partial truth, because, one of the buildings that the land trust has identified is Dwayne's Sweeper Shop, and many people have tried to buy that building, and he wants a considerable amount of money for that building. So I hope that people are responsible, just because they're gonna get a tax credit, they don't pay triple what it's worth.
And hopefully that's what the Land Trust Board will do.
Sure.
So, but I appreciate the thoughts, Josh. Yeah. Okay, the next thing on the list is we have to pass a resolution of the Wells County Council adopting the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA Coordinator and Procedures.
The highway engineer for grants and such was told that our ADA compliance documents were outdated. You really need to update them every year. We haven't updated them in a long, long time. So the commissioners did the bulk of the documents. The one that you need to do is the one identifying the ADA coordinator, which is Bobby Studebaker.
And she's been that, hasn't she? Yeah, I thought she was
Yes,
for a while, yeah.
Nate Rumsfeld.
Got Rumsfeld left, yeah.
And then also the ADA grievance procedure, which is attached to this as well. Yes, and it would be resolution number
09?
Yep.
All right, do I have a motion to approve Wells County Resolution 2025-09?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Vicki. Do I have a second? Second. Thanks, Steve. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Nothing else under other business. Our next council meeting is on the 7th. Just a reminder, Thursday we have our next, no, tomorrow. Oh, great, we're going to meet again tomorrow.
Yeah.
So 6 PM. Budget for tomorrow. It'll be fun to share, we've made some progress on closing that $500,000 gap, so we'll go over that tomorrow. Do I have a motion to conclude the meeting?